Hey guys, my name is Kayla Rain, and today I am doing the Time and Place book tag. This tag was created by Jen Campbell, and I was tagged by Amy and Laura from Tea Paper Girls, and I will link both of their channels in the down bar below. The whole gist of this tag is to share books that have a very specific memory attached to them that you can look back on and see vividly. So a book that you can just look back on and know when you read it, what was going on, and why it influenced you so much. The idea is to share 10 books, but I only have 8 today that I will be sharing with you guys because those were the only ones that I could really think of that just stood out vividly to me. So the first one I have here is Eragon by Christopher Paolini, and I remember reading this my freshman year of high school. That was the year that my cousin Josh came to live with us because he was just leaving the Coast Guard and transitioning into whatever his new life would be, which now he's in the Army, married and has 4 beautiful children, but I digress. I picked up this book because we went to go see Eragon the movie together. I had no idea that it was a book to start with. I just have had this huge obsession with dragons from an early age, so when there was a dragon movie, I knew I had to see it, and my cousin Josh took me. And after I saw it, he had talked about how it was terrible compared to the book. And I was just like, whoa, wait, there's a book? Can I have that? And he actually got me my first copy of Eragon, and I just fell in love with that series. And it's just a really great memory for me because this particular book ties a lot to family memories and just really getting into the world of dragon lore through books. So this book just always holds such a great feeling when I open it and reread the pages, and I love it. The first one is, of course, not as fantastic as the other ones. There's 3 more after that to complete the inheritance cycle. But come on guys, Christopher Paolini wrote this when he was 16, and that is just pretty incredible that this book even happened at the age of 16. When I was 16, I was still trying to figure out how to drive a straight shift. I certainly was not writing a book. Next I have Charlie Bone and the Time Twister by Jenny Nimmo, and I distinctly remember this being the first ever book that I pulled an all-nighter to read. I was so engrossed in the plot of this book that I was just not going to go to sleep. I got out my flashlight that I had from Girl Scout camp and I hid under my blanket because my sisters were super annoyed that I was keeping the light on because I did share my room with my older sister and younger sister, and they were not avid all-night readers. So I just put the blanket over my head, turned my flashlight on, and I read through the night. Good thing I was on the top bunk because that didn't bother anyone. Next I have Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets by J.K. Rowling, and this is not the first copy that I ever read, though I do have that one. I just didn't want to get it because it is the base of lots of Harry Potter Legos that I have on my shelves up there, which maybe one day I will show you in a bookshelf tour. Let me know in the comment section below if you guys want to see that. If you don't, that's cool too. It's what you guys want to see. But back to the memory, this is the first ever Harry Potter book that I picked up. I was 11 or 12. I don't remember that specifically, but I remember I was 11 or 12, and I was bored, so I picked up Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, and the rest is history. Next I have Stardust by Neil Gaiman, and I actually only picked this up in November of last year. It was just a really cold, snowy day outside, and I was just thinking, okay, what can I pick up that I can just marathon read, cuddled up on the couch with a cup of tea, and just completely engross myself in a world. So I decided that I was just going to pick this one up because I was just in the mood to be a homebody that day and not even move from the couch except to eat and use the bathroom, and this book did it. I read this in one sitting and just loved the world that was created within these pages, and it just really made me fall in love with Neil Gaiman's writing, and every book that I've picked up by him since then has just had this magical feel to it that I just adore. And Neil Gaiman has become one of my favorite authors, and Stardust has literally become one of my favorite books. It was just truly a great experience, and this is one of those books that I will always remember as being so beautiful and engrossing. Next, I have The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants by Anne Brashers, and I remember picking this up after coming back home from Girl Scout camp. Now, every year I went to a week-long Girl Scout camp as a child, wrote my little essay, got my little scholarship, and then my parents shipped me off, and it is still one of my best memories ever from childhood. I loved Girl Scout camp. But this one just holds special ties to my heart because this is what got me out of my slump from being depressed from leaving Girl Scout camp. Literally, the first year I ever went to Girl Scout camp, I was 8, and when I came back home, I cried because my mom wouldn't let the camp adopt me because I said I didn't want to live with my family anymore. I wanted to be a camp girl. So this particular book was one that I picked up after I got home from Girl Scout camp one year because the girls in my tent had been talking about how phenomenal it was. And I was so emotional reading this book already from just being sad from having to come home from the most magical week of my life, that this book just hit home in all the right places about friendship and family and love and life and all of those philosophies, and it is just wonderful. If you have not read the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants series, what are you doing with your life? It's like if you haven't read Harry Potter, like, I'm in shock. Why hasn't this happened yet? The Fever by Megan Abbott is one that I read last year in July, and I started reading this on a plane ride that went from Charlotte, North Carolina to Frankfurt, Germany, and I was just so engrossed in this that I did not sleep the entire time. I loved this book. It was so good, so creepy. It was just this really great mix of just teen angst and thriller storylines that I just got so engrossed in it, and I needed to know what happened. And after I read the book, I had to go to the halfway point again once I got into Germany and just kind of reread through it because I just needed to process everything that happened and see it again now that I knew everything. And it was incredible. I ended up finishing this for the second time on my way to Heidelberg, Germany, so I just have very fond memories of this book, especially opening it. There is some Swiss chocolate on some of the pages because I was eating this really delicious Swiss chocolate that was filled with Kirsch, which is the most delicious alcohol ever. But it was, oh, so good. So this book holds some special memories for me, especially because of the whole traveling aspect that is tied to this book. And the last book that I have to show you in person is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs. And I read this in 2013. Chris and I had just gotten our very first apartment together. It was a couple of days out for my birthday, and we had just gotten moved in, and I was thinking this is going to be the best birthday ever. I was about to turn 22, and you know that was when Taylor Swift's song was super popular, so it was perfect. And the day we moved in, Chris got laid off, and I was about to start my internship for school that required me to work 36 hours per week unpaid for 15 weeks, which meant I was going to have to cut back on my hours drastically at work, and we were just so broke and just so devastated by the turn of events and just couldn't believe what had happened because this was just supposed to be this really happy, amazing time in our lives. It was getting ready to be my birthday. 2 weeks later it was going to be Christmas, and we were like, what are we going to do, you know? We're broke, we're just gonna have to live paycheck to paycheck, and I was gonna have to pick up extra hours, and Chris was gonna have to go out and try to find a different job immediately, which was not looking too great because everywhere had already hired for the holidays, so we really didn't have anywhere to turn to. And I told Chris, I was like, you know what, we just won't do anything for my birthday or Christmas. It's not a big deal. Let's just make sure that we get our bills paid, and we won't worry about anything else. Things will come together, and it'll be fine. You know, the most important thing is that we have a roof over our head and we're together. And he totally agreed with that. But on my birthday, he still took me to Barnes & Noble, and he told me I needed to pick out one book because I love reading, and he said I needed to have something for my birthday. And I scoured every shelf because I was like, okay, I gotta make this a good book, you know, because it's my birthday book and my Christmas book. And I picked up Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. It did not disappoint. I loved this book, so I have just really fond memories of me and Chris starting out in this particular apartment. We've been living here for almost 2 years now. I just have really fond memories of this book because that was one of those moments where I just knew that Chris was really going to take care of me, and that no matter what happened, as long as we had each other, we would always be happy. So this book just feels a little romantic to me because of that. I know that's not like the happiest story in the world because the situation kind of sucked, but everything worked out for the better. A month later, Chris ended up getting hired on full-time for another job, and I was able to work my hours around my internship to where I could still work almost full-time at my job. It was tiring. I was exhausted by the end of that semester, and I was so ready to graduate. But just being able to work hard towards those goals and just to be able to know that we were really adulting was pretty fantastic and just created some really great memories. And finally, I would like to share a story about one book that I read to impress a boy. And that particular book was Wizard's First Rule by Terry Goodkind. I was a young, impressionable 14-year-old, and I wanted nothing more than to impress this guy. When we started talking, I asked him if he liked to read. He told me he wasn't a big reader, but there was one particular book series that he did really enjoy, and that was the Sword of Truth series by Terry Goodkind. So he told me about Wizard's First Rule, and of course I begged my mom to take me to the library the next day so I can get it and read it and be relatable to this boy that I had a huge crush on. Well, I ended up loving the series anyway, regardless of the fact that he liked it, and that just gave us more talking points, and we started dating, and now we are engaged to be married. So that is a particular book that just, you know, screams some good memories there. And though I don't think you should ever do things to impress someone else so they like you, I did have to share that story. And it's not like I did something that I didn't want to do. I wasn't just like, oh, I'm just going to do this even though I never read books. But yeah, I definitely read that book specifically because I wanted to impress Chris. So those are 8 books that I wanted to share with you guys that hold very specific memories that are near and dear to my heart, and I wanted to share them with you guys. But I'm also going to tag some other people to get down and personal with their feelings and their books and share this tag with us. I would like to tag Samantha from Novels and Nonsense, Franny from Franny and the Pages, Morgan from Little Word Weaver, and Marinez from My Name is Marinez. Alright, that's been it for the tag today. I hope those stories were fun for you guys. Maybe they were really boring, maybe they were just really cheesy. I don't know, but I still wanted to share them, and I thought this tag was really, really fun. But that's it for today's video. As always, thank you so much for watching. Stay weird. So awkward. You're on camera, Drew. They can hear you.
Good. It's my short day. Second.
Disappointing.
Bye forever.
Bye forever.
Bye forever.
Bye forever.